Hey everyone, I mentioned in my written review of the A6500 at the fair that I would talk about the video quality and overall video capability of the camera in a video. So here it is. If you want to check out the written review first, you can go to the link in the description below or just go to the card on the top right of the video. So there's a few things to talk about, in regards to the A6500's video capabilities. And firstly, I'd like to talk about the S-Log3 picture profile, which is the flat video that's available in the A6500. I have here opened up Final Cut Pro 10, and I'll be showing you some editing that I did, just playing around with the flat picture profile that I mentioned just now. So all of this that I'll show you was shot in S-Log3. We're gonna see what we can do with the video. So this is the first one. You can see that all the colors are desaturated. The highlights are pretty much the same as the shadows, as in there's really, you can't really see anything else other than the exposure, which is spot on. And I shot this also in shutter priority so that the shutter didn't change, and this is also shot in auto ISO so that the camera can do all the decisions and can just adjust all the settings, and I just had to hold it up and shoot. What I'm gonna do here is just show you how much you can actually play with the flat picture profile to just bring up all the details from the shadows or from the highlights and the colors and what you can do and what you want to do and stuff like that. So this is a quick edit of what it looks like now. So you can see that the colors are back. You can see the actual exposure and what was actually recorded. And to show you what I did earlier, I'm just going to turn this off, put these back on. And as you can see, there's a lot of difference because I had more time to edit this one. And I'm going to show you that. So that's the 4K footage shot in flat profile, and this is in good light. So you can see that the colors are really nice. You can see the reds are really nice, the greens are nice, the blues, the yellows. All the primary colors look really, really good. The footage is really, really good. Even in darker situations, the colors are still, natural. And this is the power of shooting in flat, even though I'm not really good at it, but I really enjoy just being able to customize and being able to make the picture just how I want to. And I love that. So next I'm going to show you a clip that I shot in almost dark. It was sunset at this time, and I'm not going to show you all the tedious edits and stuff that I did. I'm just going to show you the final edit, and this is what it looks like. This next clip is also really, really nice. This is sort of a pan, so I'm going to play it. And as I play it, I'm going to turn this on. So that definitely looks really, really good. And this last one is in nighttime, and this is where things start to get a little bit tricky because in a flat picture profile, this actually looks really good. This is all flat, no editing whatsoever, but there are drawbacks to now punching the shadows up and playing too much with the midtones and with the highlights. And I think this is really because I'm just going to show you right here, and this is mainly because of shooting in ISO 6400. It looks really grainy, it looks really weird, especially here. It looks really crusty even, and I don't. I'm not really liking this footage. I guess it would have been better if I shot at maybe ISO 800 or even 1600 at most, and just played around with the other settings. Even though I only had a 3.5 to 5.6 lens, but that's besides the point. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the stabilization. The a6500 now has 5-axis in-body stabilization, which is really good. What I like about mirrorless cameras nowadays is that they have in-body stabilization, which means that the lenses can be smaller because it doesn't have to have that image stabilization in the lens, which makes it a bit bigger and even more expensive. So having in-body stabilization is also really good because you can adapt the body using other lenses, not just from Sony. So if you already have lenses from Nikon or Canon, you can adapt them and use them on Sony bodies, and you'll still have even more stabilization right now because of the 5-axis in-body. So I'm going to show you this footage again where I'm walking, and this is actually just me with the camera handheld with no gimbal or weights or anything. So I'm just walking through the crowd with the crowd. Panning and stop. So it looks pretty good. It looks comparable to a Steadicam, even if I do say so myself. One thing that I found about the stabilization is that there is a bit of a flaw, like there's some jerkiness when it comes to panning. And I'll show you this in full screen so you can see it better. So I'm going to start panning, and there you see the micro adjustments that the camera does. So I'm going to show you again if you missed it. So it's almost at this part between when I pan from this tree to this tree. You can see like a slight jerkiness of the camera, and I guess that's just the adjustment that it does because I'm not moving up and down, but it still wants to adjust for the upwards and downwards movement. So I'm going to show you again. Starts here. There, right there. Did you see it? If you blinked, you missed it. It happened again. So it happens twice. One more time. Again, it's going to move like that, just a bit like that. So there and there. So I'm just going to put in the actual footage right after this, so you can just play around with it, just watch it again and watch it again and see if whether I'm seeing things or if you see it as well. So the last part I'm going to talk about is the overall video quality. So just now I was talking about the grading capabilities, and to most people I guess that's not really important, and the next part I talked about was the stabilization. Now stabilization is a bit more important I guess than grading, but still a lot of people really don't mind about that. But this last part, the video quality, is the most important part, I feel, and I think most people will also agree with me. So this first video is a video straight out of the camera, 4K, 24 frames per second, no editing, no stabilization, no post-processing at all. What impresses me the most about this clip is how much the camera really, how intelligent it is to not instantly just adjust the ISO so that the highlights aren't blown out right here. It somehow knows that this is the more important part of the camera, this bottom half. I can see clearly the people in the shade, especially here. You can see his face here. You can see all the colors in all the garments here, the clothes. You can see the colors in all these pictures. And I think this is really cool because a lot of times the camera, especially in photo mode, it will definitely just meter for this whole highlights section up here. And as the camera moves, it doesn't have to adjust much because this is actually the more important part, even though it's not the most dominating part. The video is sharp. You can see the details in the eyes and the faces of the people. You can see the details in the clothes. You can really see how much the camera does and how much it captures even with the APS-C sensor. And this next footage I'm going to show you is actually a short film that I made using the slow motion capability. So this is shot in 100 frames per second, and I split it all down to 25 frames per second, so it's 4 times slower. And this is just to show you how smooth the slow motion is with that stabilization. So let's take a look. Hey Neil. This is it, I guess. The whole point of going out on a Saturday night. Just get a drive-in, get stuck in the traffic jam, maybe get some food and a drink, but really not knowing what's happening next. It's a scary thing to even go out of the house. To be unsafe, to be unprotected, and to be vulnerable. It's a scary thing to actually live life. I'm really happy with that. People who know me know that I'm not a big fan of slow motion stuff. To me, it's boring because it drags out a lot of unimportant stuff with footage. But when used in the correct way, really showing off the pivotal parts of a moment, it's really, really nice to have that capability of just slowing it down and then having it really smooth without any weird stuttering. There's no jerkiness with the slow-mo. And I can really appreciate that. And I loved the slow-mo in the RX105, and this camera is also really, really good. So yeah, there you have it. I really highly rate the video capability of the a6500. You get excellent 4K right out of the camera. You don't need to edit the thing. You don't need to stabilize it or whatever. It's really good right out of the camera. But if you want to grade the footage, it's also really good. You have all that leeway with the highlights and with the shadows, with the colors. And then it has good stabilization, which in turn makes for really good slow motion. 100 frames per second, everything looks really good, even though you're shooting really nothing at all. So thank you very much for watching this video. I tried to make it a bit more natural, a bit more candid, because I found that some of my videos seem a bit too formal, and it's almost like I'm trying to sell the thing that I'm reviewing. I'm not trying to do that ever. If you want to read the written review of the camera where I go in depth with the photo and the image quality and stuff like that, go to firdaus.com. The link is in the description. Again, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take care.